Okay, cool. We're recording now. Okay. Well, first of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with me, man. It's it's still a brand new project, but yeah, I really appreciate your time. You had a friend that told you about a flyer. Is that
Yeah, my friend just took a picture of the poster and sent it to me because I'm a I talk a lot about my dreams and lucid dreaming to a lot of my friends, and I've given some like little talks here and there when we get together and do like fun little talks like that, and knew I'd be interested, so I saw it and just reached out to you.
that's awesome. I don't know who your friend is, but I really appreciate them doing that.
Yeah.
Can you start just your name, age, and location?
Yeah, my name is Nathan. I'm 28 and I live in Portland, Oregon.
Awesome. Um, what kind of hobbies or interests or passions do you have?
Um, I play a ton of ultimate frisbee, and I work for a solar company, so I'm pretty passionate when it comes to climate change and um, trying to get us on renewables. Play a ton of ultimate frisbee. I travel around the state and out of the state for that a bunch, and then honestly, lucid dreaming has been a huge part of my hobbies and everything as well.
Very cool.
Read a lot of lucid dreaming books, and I kind of go in waves of being super into it and not as into it based on like when I'm having more dreams and whatnot.
Very cool. Is there any you like recommend what are you reading right now? Can you recommend some books?
I would recommend Dream Yoga. That would be the first one. I forget the author.
It's okay.
Um, yeah, Dream Yoga was like what I read that really set me off on it. Also, I think it's an introduction to lucid dreaming. It is a pretty basic one. Kind of goes. They like take the Tibetan Buddhist uh, path in describing what lucid dreaming is. They really believe it's like a preparation for death. So they think like whenever you sleep at night, you die a little bit. You kind of go to that same place that we go when you die, and
Yeah.
um, they really go deep into that. So
Wow. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check those out. Um, uh, what helps you relax or unwind at the end of the day?
um, my girlfriend and I kind of just lay down in bed together and you know just lay together. That's I mean I don't really do anything specific besides that and lay with our cats and sometimes hit the vape pen.
Cool, man. So just like a little bit of alone time.
Yeah, just quiet time together. Yeah.
Very cool. Do you take any sleep aids or anything that you use, like a sleep mask or anything to help sleep?
No, not really at all. No.
Okay. Um, you share your bed with your girlfriend then?
Yep.
Um, are there any like funny sleep habits that you've noticed that you do or that she does?
I mean, I wake up in the middle of the night all the time to go to the bathroom, and sometimes I have asthma, so sometimes that gets kicked up, and I have to take my inhaler. Which honestly, to tie it all in, like a long time ago, I started having lucid dreams because I would wake up in the middle of the night,
Hmm,
go to the bathroom, and then fall back asleep, and that's actually like the easiest time to remember your dreams because you kind of ground yourself in this world for a little bit for a few minutes, and then you go back into that, and you're more likely to like remember your dreams that way. But
interesting.
kind of just waking up in the middle of the night,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would I wouldn't say I sleep well most times.
really. Um, and then uh, hours of like your average hours of sleep, what would you say you usually get on average?
Probably like 8.5
Okay,
to 9.
that's
We try to go to bed pretty early. I mean, like 11, sleep until 7 or 8 usually.
So some pretty solid sleep.
Yeah, between 8 and 9. Yeah.
Nice. Would you say you said you wake up quite a bit? So is it broken up quite a bit, or is it pretty consistent? It sounds
I would
like
say
it.
it's pretty consistently around like 3 or 4 a.m.
I gotcha.
I guess it's not like very often throughout the night, but it's almost every night where I wake up around the same time, just for like 5 minutes to go to the bathroom and then back, and then I usually can sleep pretty well. But it is never like I never go to sleep at like 11 and then wake up all of a sudden at 7.
I gotcha. Yeah, totally. And then what's your favorite sleeping position?
Side
Sleep on the
side
side.
with you know, my arm kind of under my head, under my pillow, with my a pillow between my legs.
Okay. Yeah. Solid. I do that too. So.
Yeah.
Um, cool, man. I'm just gonna hand it off to you then. To make a preface of kind of what type of dream or yeah, any type of preface you want, and then yeah, just dive into it.
Cool. Yeah. I've actually talked about these two specific dreams before to a group of people, and I kind of have it like written out with some preface and whatnot.
Awesome.
So yeah, I have two dreams to talk about that right when I saw the flyer, I was like, okay, I know which two dreams I want to talk about because
Awesome.
you said life changing, and these both like very heavily changed my life in two very different ways. But so the first one, just to preface it, my grandpa was pretty much my father figure growing up. My dad wasn't really around. He is now, but he was like there with me. I lived with him until he died. Really, when I was 15 years old, and he was kind of like my rock and my my probably most influential person in my life outside of my mom. Really,
Mm-hmm.
so there was a lot of years where I kind of like obviously missed him, but like kind of went through some subtle depression because of it, just losing him at a young age or whatever. But so this dream is about him. So I'll start. So this is now dream time.
Gotcha.
I'm in the yard of my childhood home. I realize I'm dreaming, so I'm lucid. I start flying around the backyard as I usually do, and I fly around the trees in my backyard until I fly to the back door of the old house I used to live at back in Wisconsin. I walk in and walk past my grandpa who's laying on the couch, and I kind of turn to the right, not looking at him at first, because sometimes it's hard to have that confrontation. But then I turn around, and when I turn around, he's sitting up with his hand out, vertical, with his palm facing me. And for some reason, I just know that I'm supposed to put my hand to his hand. And when our hands touch, my consciousness just completely explodes, and I feel like I'm expanding into infinity at the speed of light. And I no longer have a body nor any connection to the direct senses like hearing or vision. Instead, I'm in a state of like ultimate awareness. But my awareness is more so all based on memories I've had with my grandpa. So like all in the blink of an eye, in the same moment, I feel him holding me as a baby. I can hear his voice, not saying anything particularly, but I can feel his smell. I can remember the smell of him. I can feel him wrestling with me when I was a kid, and just all in the less than the blink of an eye, I felt all the sensations I really ever experienced with him. The whole thing was really timeless because it felt like so long that it happened, but it was literally also felt like a blink. Um, there was like enough experiences and sensations almost for a lifetime. I was completely overwhelmed, and I tried screaming, but I couldn't. There was no like I didn't have like a body to scream with. And then a second later, I wake up and I shoot up and I'm screaming and I'm sweating and I'm panting, and it was like the most intense sensory experience of my life. Um, so that's the dream, and the feeling afterwards. Um, the one feeling I can still feel from the dream is the comfort I felt being held in my grandpa's arms. And it was like at that moment that I had this feeling that everything is okay. we all kind of always struggle with this, like, sometimes I have anxiety and all these things and depression, but from that moment, I kind of had this like feeling inside of myself that everything's going to be okay no matter what. I felt safe and happy, and I've kind of carried that feeling into my everyday life, and I'm a happier person because of it. Um, and I really believe that was my grandpa showing me what happens when we die, um, and that no matter what happens, the universe is always holding us in its arms, protecting us.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, that was really intense
Yeah.
experience.
Y-
Um,
yes. Seriously.
so that was the first dream, and I can talk about the second one unless you want to ask
Um.
or probe into the first one.
Yeah. I mean, can you? So when you say fly, you were literally just like Superman flying around your house, like.
Oh, yeah, in the backyard. I mean, yeah, and I could talk about what I do lucid dreaming
Yeah.
for a while, but basically, when I do become lucid and I realize I'm dreaming, usually I can just sometimes easier than others, but just fly around. Sometimes Superman, but like more so just sitting in a meditating position because I've found that the Superman position it's harder to like change my speeds and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just one of the superpowers I like to
That
do
that's
when I
amazing.
become lucid.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
it feels just completely real too, and it's like yeah, it's incredible, which is why I like try to talk a lot about dreaming and stuff so that people like realize like there's this whole realm of possibilities all in your brain every single night.
that's amazing. I have not really been able to like lucid dream. Nothing like anywhere close to that. Like I hope someday it does happen, but that
Yeah.
sounds amazing. Can you compare like like the that experience to anything else?
It's kind of like, I mean, nothing really in real life. Like when I guess when you're flying, you feel like weightless, and it's just like you have to have the understanding that this is a matrix of experience that you're a part of. That doesn't follow the laws of physics. And once you kind of like realize you're dreaming, and then realize that all those rules are out the door, you can kind of do whatever you want. And so sometimes I put myself in situations to like try to have fun. Sometimes I've tried to put myself in situations like this where I'm like searching for. I went into the house kind of like thinking like because I missed that house and I can't see it anymore. And I was kind of like trying to fulfill like a part of myself that I used to be able to experience all the time. So I like and I thought my grandpa or my grandma might be in there. My grandma's still alive, but I've had a lot of experiences like with my grandpa, and I try to like ask him questions about like the meaning of life and stuff like that, and he's never really given me anything. But this one time was completely unexplainable, and like that that expansion of consciousness was like I literally felt like yeah, I guess I can't really relate to anything in real life.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just literally felt like from I was like a point and just the expansion. I felt like the expansion was going in all directions at like this crazy velocity that was completely incomprehensible. Like I didn't have a body anymore. It wasn't really like images. It was more so the feelings
Hmm.
of his voice. It wasn't like I heard his voice say a word, but it was like
Right.
I was almost like remembering the tone of his voice and like the smell. Like I could feel
Yeah.
and remember like it was almost like reliving his smell and like just the wrestling wasn't like it wasn't like watching a movie. It was like the memories, the feeling that I associated with the action,
Hmm.
feeling that all over again, but really, really intense all at the same time.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, wow. I'm trying to like think of more questions, but I mean, uh, what are people like? Or what are as someone who hasn't really lucid dream, what are people like? Are different people act differently?
Oh yeah. So like, um, there's a few different. I can almost like break it down in a few different types of people. There's like the ones that are kind of like zombies, where they're like, I look at them really intensely, and their eyes kind of go gray,
Hmm.
and they like kind of start not melting, but I've been able to like look at someone and like make them dissipate into thin air
Yeah.
because I like knew they weren't real and I just like wanted to go like be done with them.
Yeah.
There's people that are coming after me. There's a lot of that.
Hmm.
People chasing you, and then once I realize I'm dreaming, I usually turn around and confront that person, and I try to. What I've learned is that things that are chasing you are a projection of how you're feeling at that moment. So if you're scared, you're only going to reinforce that scaredness, and like if you think they're going to do something scary, they're going to do something scary. So when I
Wow.
have the realization that I'm dreaming and there's someone chasing me or like trying to get me, I turn around and put my hand out and I ask them how they're doing, and I try to project positive feelings into them, and then a
Yeah.
lot of times they become positive. um, and you just have to have that like realization first of all, which is the hard thing. It's easier said than done, but then once you do, you can like figure out how to manipulate them. And then sometimes there's people that are like, they seem like they're on the same page as me.
Hmm.
They seem like they're almost another person outside of me that's like aware that I'm dreaming,
I
and
gotcha.
they are the ones that sometimes have superpowers as well. Like I can fly around. I can use telekinesis. Like I can lift objects and move them around and stuff. And
Wow.
then a lot of times I'll try to use telekinesis to like, imagine like a connection between me and the person or the thing. And once that connection is established, I can kind of control it or they go. But then there's like these people that are like hyper, they're like way more detailed, and they have the eyes, and I look at them and they have like real eyes and they look insanely real.
Hmm.
And they sometimes show that the superpowers as well. Like they start flying around or they start like casting magic at me or something.
Wow. Huh.
But yeah, it really depends, and they change a lot too. So like if I go up to someone and start talking to them, sometimes they just kind of like they kind of melt a little bit and they stop being able to converse. But sometimes they'll be able to converse and continue talking with me. But this time, my grandpa just, he didn't say a word, and he just looked at me, and he looked completely like how I remember him looking. And he was definitely not one of the zombie type of dream characters you would
Right.
talking about. He was definitely like a presence. Like it it honestly just felt like him reaching from wherever you want to call it
Yeah.
back and like
Wow.
trying to show me, you know, like people say you relive your life or you expand into like infinite consciousness. Who depends on who you talk to, you know, but it felt like consciousness of memories of my past, you know. So it's like maybe we do um go back and relive our lives, and maybe it is in the flash of a moment like that. It kind of felt like I was reliving a lot of those things. And
Wow.
yeah.
That's so awesome, man. Um, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I think that's all the questions I have for that one. I mean, we could probably go on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I could. Cool. So
awesome.
yeah, so this dream is not as much fun, but it was really beneficial for me through a very dark time in my life. Um, this story can get kind of long,
Will
so
you will you try to sorry, will you try to get as close as you can to your microphone?
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you there.
No, you're good. Is that better?
That should be great.
Okay. Well, so this one does take a little bit more of a background story, and
That's
I'll
fine.
try to go through it kind of quickly, but um, I guess just know that in the end, this has a happy ending.
All right.
um, so I can start with I was working at a summer camp back in Wisconsin. This is not a dream. This is the backstory.
Okay.
Um, I'm with the kids at a local river swimming around, and eventually I'm about to get out of the water, and I do a head count, and all the kids are there, and then I put on my clothes, and my aunt is actually coming to like take over the duty for the rest of the day, and I'm about to leave. We worked at the same summer camp, And I do another head count right before I'm about to leave, and I only have 9 out of 10. And then quickly we realize that Shane, one of the boys, is missing. We would look everywhere that he could be in the park, the bathrooms, the camp van, the other place set. He can't be found anywhere. And my aunt says she's about to call the police to report him missing. And then a thought comes to my head and then I start walking down the river a little ways, looking in the water, and I see bright orange coming from the bottom of the river, the same color shirt that Shane was wearing. I tear my shoes off and jump under the water, and I see him floating at the bottom of the river with one of his feet caught on a branch, swaying in the current. And I throw my arm under him, surface, and start screaming to my aunt to call 911. And I lay him on the ground, screaming, "Shane, Shane, Shane, wake up!" And then I just squeeze his nose and start breathing into his mouth and doing CPR. And then it takes like 30 to 40 minutes for the ambulance to get there. And I'm doing CPR the entire time. He's like throwing up water, throwing up in my mouth. Like, I'm getting some water out and everything, and doing the chest pumps for like, this is like for 40 minutes. So you can only imagine like how long of a 40 minutes that feels like.
Wow. Damn.
Eventually they get there, and they take over and they take him to the ambulance, and long story short is he didn't make it. And so he was probably like 8 years old, I think. And so that was definitely the worst thing that's ever happened to me as a human. Anything, it's hard to experience something more terrible than that. Obviously, like being the parent could probably be worse, but that was pretty awful. And so I was in a pretty dark place for a really long time. And I'm a pretty avid dreamer, so I was having a lot of dreams and a lot of nightmares in which I was like underwater, surrounded by corpses, or seeing my younger sister at the bottom of a pool and I can't save her. And I'm just like having all these dreams where I'm like super filled with guilt for allowing this child to just die under my watch. So I was having like a lot of problems, like blaming myself and hating myself for this happening. Everyone tells me that it's not my fault, and I want to believe them, and I just can't. Until I had this dream. So now this is all in the dream world.
Okay.
I'm walking on the ocean, knowing I'm dreaming. I'm lucid, so I'm just walking along. I'm walking on the ocean. I can't see anything besides water all around me. And then all of a sudden, this section of ocean starts opening like a trap door. Just like this rectangular section just starts opening on a hinge, like it's a trap door. And then like it's a cellar, or like going down into a basement. And I walk down this set of stairs into this room below the water. And it's just like a dark room with a large table with a bunch of chairs and what I believe to be people sitting in them, but they more so look like swirly energy balls with faces sitting in the chairs. And at a small chair near the far end of the table with a swirly energy ball is Shane's face, the boy that drowned. Next thing I know, I'm looking him straight face to face in the eyes, and he just says, "It's not your fault." And then I just wake up crying. But these are like tears of joy and relief, and it felt like all of my guilt was just like washed away. And it felt like, just like with my grandpa, I felt like that was him, like reaching out from beyond. And people can talk about the physics of that or not being possible and whatnot, but like it doesn't really matter to me because of how much it changed me. And I still have flashbacks all the time to like when I hear sirens or see kids playing in water or swim myself, and it's still sad, but like that dream and that event, completely changed where I was at in my life at that time. I was not in a good spot. And then after that, I didn't have any more nightmares after that. And it was kind of like my subconscious like forgave myself for letting that happen. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Can you describe like the feeling describe the feeling you had after you like woke up from that dream.
Oh, it's like, I mean, you use the words, the weight off your shoulders, but that's like an understatement, really. It was kind of like, it literally felt like I was a new person, or like I was in a new body, or like I was completely 100% changed. It was like very physical feeling too. Like it felt like I was clean, like I was washed, like spiritually, like not bogged down, not like there's no that weight. I guess I can only describe it as the weight on your shoulders, like, but it was more like an acceptance. It was kind of like all of a sudden click, like it wasn't like kind of. It was 100% this feeling of being at peace with the whole event, and being at peace with myself, and forgiving myself, because it was, it was him. That was the only person that could tell me that and
Right.
have me believe them. Like that was the only, like, people, everyone that I talked to about it would tell me that it wasn't my fault, but like no one's gonna change your mind subconsciously, at the subconscious level. But then when he told me that, like, it just did it.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
So I mean, I have like some takeaways and stuff.
Yeah. Please. Yeah.
Um. Uh, so the whole experience has left me with kind of a changed perspective on life. Life is short, very fragile, and our own lives could be over at any day or any minute. Knowing that leaves little room for anger, in my opinion, with such a limited time frame, and how fragile it is. We're only, given so much time to experience life, and spending your time being angry or regretting this or that or living with hatred is just such a disgusting waste of time. Some of my advice to listeners, I guess, is um, to live your life being in love, and not being in love with a person necessarily, but just be in love with life itself. Cherish
Mm.
it, respect it, live it to the fullest, because one day it's going to be taken away from you, and you never know when that day is going to be. And at the end of the day, all you're going to have are your memories, and that's all you're going to take with you to the other side, is the memories. And that's why we should all just take the opportunities we get to make memories, because nothing else really matters in the end. But I guess the overarching story from both of these is that, and I don't know I've been trying to find words to describe this ever since both of them happened, but like, it's going to be okay. Like, to anyone out there that's feeling down or depressed, it's like, it's all going to be okay, and it all is okay. That's just the only way I can really say it with words, but it's a feeling in my body that I'm now, and it's not like 100% of the time, like, obviously I still get down and stuff,
Yeah.
but I always go back to that, like the feeling of my grandpa holding me on my arms, or the feeling of the boy telling me it's okay. Like, it wasn't your fault. Like, no matter what, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, I totally, on definitely on the same page there. I mean,
Yeah.
things suck. Temporary though. Like,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
Um. So, do you have any like goals in any of your? Do you have any dream goals?
Yeah. So, man, you've got me at the time where I'm like at the bottom of the slump of my lucid dreaming.
Okay.
Honestly, it definitely goes in waves where I'm like keeping track of I'm write my dreams down every night in a dream journal, and like I can show you some of these from like all this chicken scratch is from like 2013, and these are
Whoa.
all dreams that I've had.
Whoa.
So
Dude, that's
like,
awesome.
so this time is like 2013. This was all like fun, like try to have fun with people. Honestly, like I can control what people do, so I would control, or make women do what I wanted them to do. And I can like I can think what I want them to say and do, and it just happens. Um, Flying and fun stuff like that. But after reading that book, dream yoga.
Mhm.
Really like kind of enlightened me to this whole thing that I've been blessed with having the ability to do. And so Tibetan Buddhists have been studying lucid dreaming for thousands of years.
Mhm.
And they call it dream yoga. And it's really a part of the path to enlightenment. So Buddhists will talk about the path, and that's just like the journey from a consciousness throughout their life and then extending into future lives and stuff.
Mhm.
And the whole thing is a path until you reach enlightenment, which none of us here really have done yet. And um, lucid dreaming is like I said earlier, a preparation for death.
Mhm.
And they think that after you die, you can, if you have the awareness that you're dead, and I believe thoroughly that when we die, we are in a dream state, a lucid dream state. Well, if you become lucid during that dream state,
Mhm.
and they believe, and I've starting to believe that during that, they call it not the limbo. I forget the word of it, but it's in between um, your death now and then your future birth. They
Mhm.
believe that in that time you can achieve enlightenment in the lucid dreaming state, and there's like this list of practices that you can do
Mhm.
to there's like these nine, and actually I have it saved as my background on my phone, so I'm like always looking at it. But
Wow.
there's these nine steps of dream yoga, and it starts with just like realizing. Well, obviously it starts with realizing that you're dreaming, but then once you do dream, it's kind of like training yourself to believe that the rules of reality are very malleable and not really hard set rules at all.
Mhm.
So the first one is just like fly, do things that you wouldn't be able to do in the real world. And then the second step is like put your hands through things, walk through walls, realize the lack of solidness. And I do that. I do that all the time too. So like I'll start if I'm in a dream where I realize I'm dreaming, and
Mhm.
then I'm like, okay, I want to do my dream yoga practices. I'll like first I'll fly around, then I'll like find a door or something. And one trick you can do is you can like um well so some you should be able to like what I like to do is I put my hand on something and then I like realize that there's nothing there and then my hand kind of just goes through it. And then you can put your whole body through things. If you like go up to a wall, put your back to the wall and start walking backwards because your brain doesn't know when the wall is supposed to hit. So it
Huh.
allows you to actually like walk through the wall. And it feels really weird. It feels like some like jello or like liquid is just like pouring over your body and you're like kind of like walking through this like
Whoa.
gelatin layer. I don't know. It's really weird.
Wow.
um, and then changing things. So like what I like to do is so the telekinesis that I usually do is I imagine like a string of connection between me and an object, and then once I have control of that object, I can move it all over. And then what I've tried to do is try to change that object. So I'll like elongate it
Mhm.
or squish it or like change it in one of the three dimensions. And then sometimes you make it bigger and make it smaller. And it's just like a feeling you have. And it's all about intent. Like if you intend to do something with like full intent, it'll just happen.
Wow.
Um, so I do that with objects from time to time, and then doubling things is kind of fun to do. Like I remember I play ultimate frisbee, so I was like floating with a disc. I had a disc floating in front of me,
Yeah.
and then I like used my hands like this, and I was like, and then the disc just became two, and then I did it again, and it became four, and I did it
Whoa.
again, and it became like eight, and I was just like, holy shit, I'm onto something.
That's so sick, dude.
Yeah, it's like yeah, there's a lot more of them. And though I guess I could really quick go into another dream that I just now remembered, and I wish I would have remembered this earlier. But one of the
Go for
steps
it.
is arise as a deity, or whatever you believe a deity to be.
Mhm.
So there's one time I saw a person and I like made the connection and levitated them, and then made them by just like imagining it, made them sit in a meditating position. And this is probably at the peak of my like reading about. I started getting really big into Tibetan Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right around the time that I had these dreams. And since I've kind of like gotten away from it, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
I made them sit in a meditating position, and then I imagined them to be a light being, because that's kind of what I imagine maybe a deity to be, is like a light being. And I started, so kind of like they were Han Solo, like getting frozen in carbonite. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah,
The light like starts coming out of his face or
yeah,
whatever. So
totally.
that started happening with the person. The light started coming out of her all over the place, and then it like crusted over into this gold statue, and she was just like a floating gold statue. But like it was a metamorphosis. It was like human light coming out, and then as the light like went away or like receded, like
Mm-hmm.
she just was like a floating gold medal looking statue just floating there. And then I was like walking around like, holy shit, I just made that.
Wow, that's wild, man.
Yeah, that was another really fun one.
That's so.
But yeah, all those steps I'm talking about is in that dream yoga book. Um, but
Cool.
yeah, that book really is probably the best one that I've done. And that one's for people that have, well, it has a good introduction to lucid dreaming too.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes a little bit deeper than most other books. I started getting a little bored with some of the lucid dreaming books because
Yeah.
it was a lot of the same old stuff, like how to become lucid. And I could talk for a long time on different things. I actually started writing a book, more like a how-to type of thing
You
for
should,
ways to
man.
increase it. I mean, I started to, and it's still saved in my my desktop, but I haven't touched it in so long.
You
I
should.
get so busy, and yeah, thank you. I need to. It's kind of like my um yeah, after like a lot of these experiences, it kind of like made it kind of my life goal to, whenever people like you or anyone says an interest in dreaming, I'll go on a tangent, like I'll give you all the information you possibly can, because I think that, if our society was more in tune with these kinds of things, we'd be much more loving people. And you know it's just so much more blissful, like literally just being able to be a super, I don't want to say superhero, but like to have superpowers. It's like, not only is it really fun, but it's like sometimes I'm flying over a river or a lake, or like over mountains like really really high, and it's just like people pay so much money to go skydiving, and I literally just like fly to the top of a tree and just jump off of it because I know I'm not going to die. And it's just like it's so real. And then when I hit the ground, I just like feels like jelly. I don't know, like it, or like flying like straight over a lake, and then just like going so fast and putting my finger in it, and it feels exactly how it is when you're on a boat putting your finger in the water. And it's just like such a real experience that is like, it's so much fun. It's just like to wake up after something like that, you feel exhilarated, like you feel like, holy shit, that was awesome. Like now I'm gonna have my day, like it's so much different than just like waking up and being groggy. And and I wish I could do it more often. Like I haven't really been doing it that often at all. Like I would keep a calendar. I still keep a calendar. It just isn't getting filled up as much. But every time I have a lucid dream, I'll put LD for that day.
Nice.
Um, and then if I have a dream that I remember at all, I'll put a D just for dream.
Yeah.
Um, and there was a time where I was getting like 13 to 15 a month,
Wow.
but now it's more like once or twice a month. Kind of go in flows of, um, obviously, yeah, doing it a lot and then doing it not a lot. And I think the
Yeah.
number one thing for me that increased the amount of lucid dreams I had was the amount of time that I dedicate my actual living day to thinking about lucid dreaming, which
Interesting.
included just reading about it.
Yeah.
I don't really read that much anymore because I'm just so busy with work and Ultimate, but which is
Yeah.
sad. I should really just do it more. But like if there was a time where I would spend at least 15 minutes to 30 minutes a day, every single day reading. And when I dedicated that amount of time to reading about a book about lucid dreaming,
Yeah.
I was having them almost every other night. It
Wow.
was incredible. And now I'm not reading, a book right now. I mean, I started reading and I stopped. I haven't read it in like a month, but
Yeah.
now I'm only having them once or twice a month now. So it's really like how much of your waking life can you dedicate to thinking about lucid dreaming, and then in your dream life you'll go back into that mindset.
Oh, dude, you got me so excited. Like I've still never had like a lucid dream like that, but like you just got me so excited to like, and, you know, it may never even happen, but
I mean, if you want, if you have time, I have plenty of time. I can give you like a quick like top 3 things you should do to be able to increase your lucidity.
yeah, just let's do that real quick. Yeah, I definitely want to hear that.
Okay. Um, First things first, dream journal. Do you remember your dreams at night or when you wake up?
Um, I do sometimes,
Okay.
not all the time, but yeah, you know, I do. I feel like I have a pretty good like dream memory.
Okay. That's really the first step. Um, so have a dream journal, have a very specific notebook right next to your bed
Okay.
with a pen or a pencil right there. So that right when you wake up, the first thing you do is you write that down.
Okay.
That'll train your brain to give value to the dream, and then also just being able to remember, because if you wait until that night, guaranteed you'll not remember as much of it, and it just starts allowing yourself to remember more and remember more.
Okay.
And I get kind of, that's just the first step for like getting your brain thinking about lucid dreaming.
Okay.
um, and then another thing I like to do that I don't do very often, but take a Sharpie
Hmm.
and draw a triangle on your hand, or any shape you want, just like on the back of your hand. Like, I can't point to it, like right here.
Yeah.
Just draw a triangle or like 3 dots or something.
Okay.
And then every time during the day that you see that and you look at it, make that associated with the thought, am I dreaming, or I am dreaming. I know it's weird, but um, your dreams are they're like a huge randomized like coagulation of everything that happens during the day. And the more times you say, am I dreaming during the day, the more
Hmm.
likely you are to say, am I dreaming while you're dreaming. So you
Okay.
have to train, it's all about your subconscious,
Yeah.
right? So that's why we have dreams about what we're doing at work, or like what we do every day, all the
Yeah.
time. So if you do that and you think like, am I dreaming? I am dreaming. You'll be way more likely to do that in a dream randomly. Like you'll have dreamt that, and then you'll be like, oh wow, am I dreaming? And so the next step after that is what we call a reality check. So a reality check is a way to check whether or not you are dreaming, so that you know for sure, because dreams can look and feel just completely 100% as real as waking life. We all know that kind of, right?
Yeah. 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 For sure.
The one foolproof reality check that I've learned is you squeeze your nose and then try to blow out. And so I just popped my ears a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And when you do that in a dream, you'll squeeze your nose, and then it'll be easy. You'll be able to blow out,
Huh.
because like your physiology is not there.
Right. Right. Right.
Your nose isn't really there. And
Right.
then once you're there, then you're like, okay, now then it's all up to you. And the worst thing to do is get really excited, and
Okay.
newer lucid dreamers will get so excited that they'll wake themselves up
Oh shit.
right away. So like, it might suck the first time you get there, because you probably will get really,
Yeah.
really excited,
Yeah.
and then you'll wake up right away. So the next thing to do is just like take a deep breath and then just walk around,
Okay.
and then kind of like go with it from there. But the dream journal, and then the dots on your hand,
Hmm.
that would be a really good place to start. And then pick up a book about lucid dreaming. It's Andrew Halsek. I looked
Okay.
it up.
Sit.
Dream Yoga by Andrew Halsek. He's got a lot of good ones. And then
Awesome.
Stefan Labarge is also a great writer about lucid dreaming. He's got a few different ones, but there's a new one. It's just called Lucid Dreaming. Stephen Stephen Stephen
Okay.
Laberge. Um, those two are like the ones that I thought are the most well like completed ones.
Okay.
And he does he takes it from the Tibetan Buddhist kind of perspective. So it gives you a
Cool.
little bit more than just like the fun seeking, and like a little bit more of the spirituality behind it too.
For sure. No,
Um,
that's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. I've like digging around a little bit. I've seen like there's a lot of books out there, but a lot like I see also like the like this symbol means this in your dream, and like I think there's also like there's a lot out there that's just like not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that out there. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
would
like
highly recommend staying away from the dream symbol books.
yes,
And I don't know, I feel like I have a bias, but like they're just maybe they do have something, but I think meaning behind a symbol is completely different to you and to me. Like if I see a baseball, I'm gonna think something completely different than you if you see a baseball based on my memories of baseball, or like you can insert any object into
right.
that. It's like trying to find meaning, to have someone else tell you what something means in your dream is just silly to me.
Yeah. No.
I
Yeah.
mean, some are more obvious, like, you know, an event that happens in your dream might be like you could decipher a meaning from that, but like seeing a black bird or like seeing a
Yeah.
purple snake, like I
Yeah.
think that's just silly. But there are that's why I would stick by anything by Andrew Holosek or Stefan
Okay.
Labarge. They you're not gonna find that kind of stuff there. Theirs is like really well thought out. They have PhDs in psychology, and they go through like the history of Tibetan Buddhists practicing lucid dreaming for thousands of years, and they have a lot of good research and stuff in there.
So cool, man. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that stuff out, man. That sounds so awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, very, very cool. Well, we're running up on 45 minutes already. Do you have anything else you want to say? Do you have any like accounts you want to plug
Oh, I mean,
or websites or anything?
um, I'm Humboldt Dreamin' on Reddit, and I have posted a lot about lucid dreaming on our lucid dreaming. Um, and I've made my own posts about a lot of dreams and a lot of different superpowers that I've learned, and I kind of explained on there. I haven't really done it as much of late, but that's
Hmm.
Humboldt, HUMBOLDT, Dreamin', DREAMIN.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't even know how to search for someone on Reddit, but
That's on Reddit though, right?
yeah, on Reddit,
Okay.
yeah.
Sweet.
Besides that, plugs for those two books. Dream Yoga. Just read Dream Yoga. If you're out
Okay.
there and if you're interested in dreams and you're listening to this, read Dream Yoga by Andrew Holosek. It'll change your life a little bit.
Dude, it's so awesome. Nathan, man, I really appreciate your time, man. It's been so cool listening to you talk about
Yeah.
this. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Sorry I took you 45 minutes. I didn't think it was gonna take that long.
No, that was awesome. If you ever like in your way, like lucid wave, you said you're like in a trough right now. Like if you ever like peek back up into it, reach out. Let me know.
Yeah, for sure. And every once in a while I go back and just like read. I don't know how many hundreds of dreams that I've written down, and some are really, really awesome, and I completely forget about them until I go back and read them.
Mhm.
But if I see another one, if I go back and ever read one that I would think that you would be interested in, I'll give you a shout out.
Dude, that'd be awesome. So, all right, Nathan. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, let me know what's up with your project. I want to know where it goes and whatnot. There's an event next weekend, is that right?
Yeah. Her.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Sorry. It's at Laurelhurst Park,
When?
and that's on the 23rd.
Sunday the
And
23rd?
I can text you all that information. Laurelhurst
Okay.
Park, to 6 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, I
Uh,
don't think I'm doing anything. I actually might be doing something during the day. I might be out here doing some projects, but yeah, text me
that's
that
cool.
info, and I would love to hear everything that you come out with.
I will, man. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. There's gonna be 4 stories total released that day. And then I'm working on stuff right now, so
Nice.
it's gonna be fun, man. I'll definitely let you know.
Cool. Well, thanks,
Cool.
Mason, and thanks for doing this. And hopefully, you can chat again sometime.
Absolutely, Nathan. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Take care.